Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Henderson, and you're listening to Up Next, a listening space for theater, culture, and the arts. And we are on TMC 105.1, the most Cebu radio. Today is the first day of National Arts Month in the Philippines, and that's not accidental. Up Next begins here because the arts are not just performances and exhibitions. So they are how we remember, how we care, and how we imagine futures. This program is something I've been calling a cultural ritual. It's a space where artists, leaders, and communities can speak beyond promotion. So we're looking into processes, memory, mentorship, and what it means to build culture together. So if you're joining us live at Facebook, welcome to Up Next. Tell us where you're listening from and feel free to share this conversation. And if you're catching this later on YouTube, you're part of this ritual too. Listening is participation. So what is Up Next? Up Next is a long-form conversation space dedicated to theater, culture, and the arts. And each week, we'll sit with artists, collaborators, educators, and cultural leaders to talk about practice, lineage, institutions, and the future of the entire creative industry. So sometimes we'll go deep into memory and process, and sometimes we'll reflect on policy, pedagogy, and community building. So always we'll ask one recurring question. What is up next? So I started Up Next because I believe conversations are archives. So what artists say about their work, how they care for bodies, communities, institutions, becomes part of a cultural memory. And listening, I believe, is a form of cultural infrastructure. So this show is not about headlines. Up Next is about rehearsal. It is a rehearsal, rehearsing futures through conversation. So thank you to TMC 105.1 for creating space for this kind of listening. And whether you're tuning in on the radio, online, or on social platforms, you're part of a station that believes culture and arts matter. So in today's episode, this is our first episode, by the way, we begin, you can hear my excitement. Yes, so we begin with National Arts Month. Why it matters, why it exists, and what we can do as listeners, artists, and citizens. Then, later on, or maybe sooner than later, I'll be joined by two collaborators who have shaped my artistic life in the institution of Tutankhamun's Philippines. Vincent Diez Gaton and Charlene Virlouvet. I'm sorry I had to say that. Let me say that again. So, two of my favorite collaborators. So, Vincent Diez Gaton and Charlene Virlouvet. So together, we'll talk about theater, movement, care, mentorship, leadership, and what it means to build cultural ecosystems. So wherever you're listening, from home, a studio, your car, on your way somewhere, maybe you're at Tops, Cebu's most iconic landmark, in your room, alone, or with friends, thank you for being here. This is Up Next, so let's begin this ritual. So February is a National Arts Month in the Philippines, and on paper, it's a celebration of artists, exhibitions, performances, and creativity. But beyond the calendars and hashtags, National Arts Month is a reminder that culture is not seasonal. Culture is infrastructure. Culture is memory. Culture is how we imagine ourselves into the future. And when we celebrate the arts, we are not just celebrating talent. We are celebrating labor, lineage, institutions, and communities that keep stories alive. So the arts are how a country speaks to itself across generations. They are how we rehearse who we want to become. In theater, in dance, in music, in visual arts, we are not just expressing emotions. We are producing knowledge. A choreography holds histories of bodies. A script holds histories of language and power. A painting holds histories of place, light, a gaze. So the arts are archives that move, breathe, and change, and they are living libraries that don't sit on shelves. So in a country like the Philippines, shaped by colonization, migration, revolution, and a diaspora, the arts are one of the ways we remember ourselves when official histories fail. So imagine this. An actor steps on stage. So they carry not just a role, but generations of training, mentorship, and, of course, struggle. So when a production happens, it carries the invisible labor of stage managers, designers, administrators, educators, and communities. The word there is invisible. National Arts Month is a chance to name that invisible labor. And we have to start thinking of the arts as care and social infrastructure. So we often think of care in terms of hospitals, schools, policies, but the arts are also a form of care. Theater cares for collective memory. Dance cares for bodies and movement, vocabularies. Music cares for emotion, ritual, gathering. And when we gather in a theater or a gallery, we practice being together. We practice listening. We practice disagreement, empathy, and imagination. And in this sense, the arts are a form of social infrastructure. They teach us how to be in a community. This is why National Arts Month matters, and not just for artists, but for everyone, for all of us. Because culture shapes how we care for each other. I mean, we don't think of it like that, but remember COVID during the time of the lockdown? It's like everywhere. The way for us to care for each other was through the arts. That could be a conversation for another day. So I think one thing is also for us to remember that the arts is political, but not in the sense of partisan slogans, but in how they shape public life. Cultural policies decide who gets funded, who gets heard, who gets archived. Institutions decide whose stories become canon and whose remain marginal. National Arts Month is an opportunity to ask, who gets to make art in this country? Who gets to teach it? Who gets to lead institutions? And who gets to be remembered? Supporting the arts is not just about attending shows, it's about building ecosystems, schools, companies, platforms that sustain artists across generations. And programs like this one, Up Next, are rather small, but intentional. They are intentional contributions to that ecosystem. So what can we do this National Arts Month beyond posting and applauding? So we can attend performances and exhibitions. We can document and archive. We can pay artists fairly. We can mentor younger practitioners. We can ask institutions, hey, you have to be transparent and inclusive. And of course, we can listen. Listening is an action. It is not passive. Listening is a form of care. Listening is how a culture moves forward. If you've just tuned in, you're on TMC 105.1, the most taboo radio. This is Up Next, and I'm Sarah Henderson. This is Up Next, your platform where we talk about theater, culture, and the arts. Thank you for being here. So it's the 1st of February, first day of National Arts Month. And throughout this month and throughout this program, I'll be asking guests and listeners the same question. What is up next? Not as a prediction, but as a wish. And not as a trend, but as a responsibility. What is up next for theater? What is up next for dance, for music, for visual arts, architecture, cinema, for institutions, for how we care for artists and communities? Again, Up Next is a rehearsal space for these questions. So today, as we begin National Arts Month, we also begin Up Next. Yes, this is not an accident. This is your new ritual of listening, memory, and imagination. And of course, I am not alone. So if the arts are how we imagine futures, then movement is how we rehearse them. And so let me bring in someone who rehearses the future through bodies and care. I'm joined by someone whose work has shaped stages and communities, and he is a very humble but award-winning choreographer, director, and the resident director of Tutankam's Philippines. He is a physical therapist by profession, specializing in taking care of patients, pediatric patients with multiple sclerosis. Oh, okay. You will have to correct me later with that. Oh, at least I'm claiming I made that mistake. For more than 10 years, he's been my collaborator, my co-dreamer. What, your eyes just widened when I said more than 10 years, which is true. And one of the people who has taught me that art is a form of care. So this is Vincent Paul Diez. Gaton, everyone!
Hey, hi, Sarah.
Hi, Vince. Welcome to Up Next. Thank you for beginning this ritual with me.
Thank you for choosing me as one of your first guests.
Of course, why not? I mean, okay, I will have to go back to the first time I saw you. I don't think that's our official first meeting, but I remember seeing you doing the choreography. You were the choreographer for the very first theatrical production that I actually watched after coming back from France. And yeah, that was over 10 years ago. That was you've been Facebooked. Yes,
Yeah.
you were the dance director or
Yes.
choreographer that production. And yeah, that is my first memory of you. And you were doing exercises on your bar.
Yeah, in the
Which
clinic.
Yes, and I think after that, we can't really say that, what followed was just, it's not like we had a very nice, friendly meeting.
Not maybe during that time. Basically, when you were there, I wasn't even really aware because you were invited by Mrs. David, right?
Yes,
Much.
yes.
And I was
So,
rehearsing, so we didn't really get to talk.
yes, one of the very first supporters of the very first people I know who supported the arts, Ma'am Dina David of Don
Yes,
Bosco
Don Bosco.
Technological Center. Is that center? School. Anyway, so yes, I was there, and that's how I met you.
Yes, yes.
But that's my memory of how we met. I'm not going to ask you your memory of how we met, but I'd like you to go back to maybe how you've discovered that you actually love performing, whether it's dance or acting.
Okay, so Well, it really starts way back when I was around 7 years old. Because back
Wow.
in San Joaquin, Iloilo,
Oh,
yeah,
Ilonggo man ka. No?
Ilonggo, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, karay agani.
Mm-hmm.
During that time, our community, as we were talking about community, so it was a nun from the Daughters of Charity, because I was studying in the preschool or something. That was so before 7 then. So it's
Yes, that
supposed
would
to
be
be 5 or
before
6.
7 years old.
Yeah.
7 years old, you would be in grade one
Yes.
normally.
During that
But
time.
I won't be surprised because you're such a smart guy. You would have
Hey.
been accelerated 2 years forward, you know. Were you?
Nah, I didn't go for that. So during that time, this nun organized a play. It's the English translation would be Seven Temptations or something like that. Pito. I forgot the title, but basically it's Seven Temptations or Sins. So I acted, and that's actually very because I was a child, so it was just like for me it was just play. But then my father told me that because you know how it is as a child, if you attend rehearsals because you think it's fun, but if it's not fun, then the tendency is
It
to not
becomes work.
to. Yeah, so the tendency not to attend rehearsal. But my father told me that you gave your word, you promised to be part of an organization or a movement, so you better stick with it. You have to be true to your word. So that's what we call in Ilonggo compromiso. So when you
Wow.
that's the first professional teaching for me in terms of the performing the performing industry
Wow. So
basically.
your dad actually taught you commitment from a very young
Young age.
age.
So that's the why, yeah. So that became a working principle when it comes to the stage for me, and also my other work, of course.
So you were saying you were around 7 years old at that
Yes.
time.
Pitong Diyos-Diyosan. That's
Wa,
it. Tagalog. Pitong
pitong
Diyos-Diyosan.
pitong Diyos-Diyosan
That's the title of the play.
when you were 7 years old.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, did you actually think at that age, while you were doing that play, did you actually think that this would be something that you'd like to do when you're older and professionally?
No, because in terms of performance or performing, I was more in love or more passionate about dancing rather more than singing or acting. So because I was involved at a very young age with dancing. Basically, in our town, it was what we call cultural dances. The
Yes.
the
The
whole-
folk
the
dances.
folk dances.
Yes. No.
I was heavily involved in that. So even during high school also. So I thought that would be the only area of performing of the performing arts that I'd be involved in until I reached high school. Because in high school, you know how it is. Like you have productions, right? School productions, and we had that. So I directed. That's where the love for directing started.
Wow. So in high school, like, would you
yes.
remember how old you were?
Oh God. I think third year high school would be
15.
15, yes.
Yes. Okay.
And I remember the play was Clash of the Cymbals. So it was it's a gay themed play.
Wow. How very progressive.
Yeah, but I was not out then. So at that time I was like, but it was progressive. Yeah, it was about Atenean and a Lasalista. And then there's a clash of the symbols. Anyway, so that was the first directing job, but I took it seriously. I just realized during that time because maybe it was because of the message of the play, because you know how it is. You tend to get involved with materials that either reflect your own truth or the things that you want to explore about your own self and how it affects your relationship with others, your family especially. During that time, it would be with my family. It's not about meeting somebody. It's really about how I navigate my, my own personal issues with with my family because, as I've said, I don't know. I told you that I studied at the Philippine Science High School in Diliman. So that means at a young age, I was away from my parents who were in Iloilo. So that kind of the need to explore my own um, worldview or shaping my worldview vis-a-vis my relationship with my parents, especially my father, was a big driving force of why I took that place seriously. So that I guess started the passion for it because there are things that you can't say directly to your loved ones or to the people that matter to you, but once you do something creative, that output could be the message, an indirect message that you could tell them. That's what I thought about during that time. That's why I took it very seriously, I guess.
Did you have to audition for that role?
I was a director, so I did not audition, but I did because I don't know what they call it, beside buot-buot, or
You like being boss.
me. No, not
You know,
really.
you know
Because
how, no, I'm just saying, this is the thing that like kids, well, I remember, my daughters were saying when we were talking about me directing,
Mhm.
they were saying like,
You want to be in
oh,
charge. You want to be the boss.
because you want to be bossy. It's like, I suppose people think that that's how it is. But what is your process in directing?
Well, now, let's just say it's also an evolution, a process of evolution. Um, During that time, because you were still young, I was still young, so there was this need to be in control of every aspect of the play. But then again, I was dealing with teenagers as well, and who can control teenagers? And these are like the popular guys in school, some of the popular guys in school. So it was a matter of compromising, really. Like you can't impose because they have their own minds. They're also smart people, right? So that's what I realized, that the best way to do things is to collaborate. However, as my actors from old productions, I was already here in Cebu, would attest that I was a strict choreographer because maybe I was trying to prove something, that I was trying to aim at perfection, that I can be, and also I was a product of the old way of teaching, that I was strict. I was not physical, but I was strict. I know the actors before would attest to that, but I evolved. I get that's the beauty of this community, because you meet people, you grow with them, you grow, and then you evolve as to how you, regarding your way of interacting, collaborating. So um, I think now the more mature Vince is more of a collaborator rather than an instructor or a teacher, because it's so nice to feel or to see an output wherein your actors actually contributed a big aspect of it, of their life, of their soul, of their belief system into it. So even if it's movement, or especially during acting, right? It's such a big, I don't know, makes a very big difference when you allow your actors to contribute more than you. That's how the process now is
I
for me.
think that's that evolution of but you're saying you've already learned to compromise at a very young age, I would say, because at 15 and you're already collaborating, you're already compromising. It's like, how matured were you back then?
Yeah, maybe it's because those people that I worked with before were classmates, and I trusted them in a way that it was easy to let go of certain aspects of control. However, when I was starting here in Cebu, I guess it's another journey. It's like, okay, now you're an adult. It's officially something that you want to do, not for a living, but for really, not even as a release of your passion or talent or whatever. It's more of, you want to be part of the community that as you said, to establish an avenue for communication, for establishing, what was the word that I love what you used earlier? You used a certain word.
Which one was it?
I don't know. You said a lot. But
Yeah, that was
that
a lot.
building, not just building a cultural
A ritual.
landscape, a ritual, yeah,
An
basically.
ecosystem.
Yeah, an ecosystem.
Yes.
So that was
Because we are not alone. We can't do things on our
Yeah.
own, no matter how talented you are.
because during that time, the people I was working with were also trying to change what we were observing. May I mention their names? Is it okay? So it was with Jingo
course.
Sinus and Jude Gitamondo and Antoinette Hicks now. We wanted, and Pamela, Pami, of course, Lilia, Pamela. So we wanted, you know how it was before, and we felt that maybe we can be a catalyst for change, because we needed a different way of dealing with artists. We wanted to be, I think the one was how we do rehearsals, how we treat them in terms of the financial compensation. So those were one of the goals that we set when we did You've Been Facebook, the musical. So that's the first official choreography for me in Cebu was You've Been Facebook, the musical.
Oh wow! And so I actually saw your very first work
Yes, for
as
a play.
a choreographer.
Yeah, yes, you were one of the first few people who've seen it. Actually, is a rehearsal, right?
So that was at St. Teresa's College in
Yeah.
2013.
Oh my
Correct.
God. Was it?
Yeah, I just like dropping dates, But I also remember my daughters, after the show, they just went on stage and they were fangirling. And I was actually so proud that they were able to appreciate the arts. They appreciated what they've seen on stage. And I was actually so proud to be Cebuano at that point. And as I said, that was the first production I watched coming back from being not here.
Aw.
Yeah. So, yep. Earlier I caught you saying, are we still live? Is that okay?
Apologies to all of our viewers, as we currently have internet connectivity issues, but we can still continue on with our show, as we are still currently recording this episode, and we can upload the full episode later on to our YouTube. We will give you the link later on.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Ralph. Is very helpful, isn't he?
With the
Is here in
voice.
all the shows, and yes, the voice. Yeah. Okay. So as I said, I really felt that. I was so happy being able to watch a production that was by Cebuano, collaborators, actors, musicians. And it just makes you feel like, oh, there's actually something that I can connect to. But again, I caught you earlier saying that not for a living.
Yes.
You don't really think of the arts as something that you would do full time, especially as a kid.
Mhm.
Although I remember a classmate, and you know how in kindergarten you graduate and then you're supposed to say, when I grow up, I want to be, of course I chose doctor. I don't know why. I think it's more of an expectation. You just have to be a doctor. But I remember my classmate back then, I remember her name. She said she wanted to be a dancer. And that's just not expected. And I remember that a few actually laughed. I don't think it was like laughing because
Laughing at her. Or
at her, but it's more of a wow, that's new. Everyone wanted to be an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, all those. You have to have a title before your name and the letters after. So yeah, she wanted to be a dancer. And I think at that age, at 6 years old, you ask, like, why did she choose that? And yeah, and I remember asking myself, like, what do you get out of it? And yet I'm a lover of dance, and I love dancing and choreography and all that. In fact, I would say I was a dancer before being a singer or an actor.
Same.
Same. Appear. Rensta. Okay. So, why do you think we never dream of being artists when we grow up? We have to be, yeah, and you by profession are a physical therapist. And you're doing wonderfully with what you're doing. Please correct me, Vince, because I mentioned yeah. Can you correct me, please, what your specialization is?
Okay. So I'm a certified BOBATH physical therapist for pediatrics. So that's for cerebral palsy, basically.
Okay,
so that's my area of expertise. Basically help children with cerebral palsy learn movement that would lead to their independent living.
I was going to say we've jumped from the arts to that, but then you mentioned movement.
Yes.
And so you're not far from
actually
your love for movement and dance.
It's a reimagination of, and then basically going back to the basics of movement, because in BOBATH or in PT we basically, well, PT is a movement science. It's based in movement science. So we analyze movements. We help people who have problems in mobility attain independent movement. So yeah, so you get to break it down, and I get to use these principles also in my choreographies, because how do I say this? Because before I thought it would be about techniques, dancing would be about techniques. Now, ever since I married PT, my knowledge as a physical therapist, especially in BOBATH, with dance, then you realize that any movement, no matter how grotesque it might look or awkward to the people, has its certain beauty and it has its certain function. So ever since I had that idea of merging the principles of movement, then it wasn't about grace anymore, not just about grace anymore. It's about authenticity and there's a certain point practicality, and functionality of movement. And also, I guess it's really that how the most, how do you say that, the most it's not the strip down to the most basic, wherein the movement becomes language. Basically, it reverts back to its original function, which is to communicate something. And I feel that should be, I felt that it should be my basis for my choreographies. It's telling something, communicating something, and not just like looking pretty or beautiful on stage. So that became my principle.
And that principle actually takes away the glory that some, I'm saying this, but I can't really name people. I'm just saying that I would imagine that there are those who would do choreography because they want to be glorified. They want to be to show how good they are. But what you're trying to focus on is choreography as a way to communicate, to send off a message, tell stories, at the same time to have a purpose through choreography.
Yes.
And earlier I was mentioning about arts as a form of care, and you are the best example of having, as an artist, having used choreography and movement as a form of care.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
that is true. And I think I've spoken to artists that you've worked with at Tutankamps, and of course there's Charlene here who sings your praises. The way you actually deal with not just choreography but also direction is with so much care for the individual sometimes even more than the group, but for the purpose of a collaborative success.
Yes, yes.
Ni quiet
Again,
na lang
No, it was just
siya.
because like while
Yeah.
you're talking, why I was like reminiscing, because I've learned from past mistakes, I guess. Because I've noticed that the more care you give towards your actor, and the more, I don't know, they become braver in terms of exploring, and they become more confident in their own abilities to actually contribute to the material, to whatever it is that they're working on, the character, the storyline, everything. Because before, as I said earlier, I was stricter, and I felt that inhibited my actors from exploring more, especially the more timid ones. The
Mhm.
braver ones were like, okay, let's do this. You're like that. I'm used to that kind of treatment from you, so I'm still willing to collaborate. But there are some who are trying to explore either for the very first time, or they're newbies, and then if you give them that kind of treatment, and it actually does not help them, because it stops them from, it makes them fearful. So it blocks them from exploring, becoming more creative, becoming more comfortable and authentic in in their work. So it defeats the purpose that we set out to do. So you reflect, and as I grew, I realized that the, the more you let them be, the more you let them flourish, then the better their work, and the lesser work it is for you. And and the atmosphere becomes lighter and more productive. That's how
And I think it's not just from our mistakes, our individual mistakes. We've also learned from the
others.
previous generation
Yes.
of directors
It's like
or
live in
choreographers
and
that we've
observed
worked with.
experiences.
Yeah, so they had their ways, and I think that a lot of it was using fear,
Mm.
as leverage, and we always had to be perfect. Otherwise, that's not enough. But now I see that we are always saying that you don't have to be perfect, that it has to
Yes.
be, you have to enjoy the process, and you have to see yourself as a part of an entire movement. And
Yeah.
and it's just changed. So I would like to think that we have also become more caring
Yes.
as directors, and the way we deal with the new and young actors. Well, not all of them are young. Some of them are just new to
Just
to
to
theater
theater.
and performance. Yes.
Yeah, maybe just to, I did not start out to to use fear as a tool to shape up the artists that I've worked with. It's just that during that time, you know how I have a tendency to be just involved with what I'm doing with the movement. I don't see people. I before I saw movements. I saw blockings here,
Mhm.
what's shapes here and there. And I realized later on that no, you're working with living, breathing, feeling individuals. So they have to come in the equation when you do something, and you can just count as like they do not count them as just warm bodies. They are real people that you have to deal with. So I guess that's when I realized that I have to change the way I approach them, and actually look at each actor, say, hey, this is what we're doing, instead of, okay, there's a body here and a body there, and then they move here and there. So I guess that's what I meant by, maybe that's why they thought I was kind of strict, or they feared me because of that sense that I didn't see them as living, breathing, feeling individuals, but as warm bodies that have to make something beautiful on stage. That drastically, when I had that, maybe it's, I must say, somebody who helped me realize that was Alex Puanco.
God bless him.
God bless his soul. He was the one who made me realize that, hey, actors are people too. Parang ganun. So you treat them as people, not just as tools for you to, or medium for you to to give your message.
And I think it's also important for us to realize that those who come in and join, let's say, a theater workshop or being part of a production, they're not really there to be the best actors. Some of them are there to heal their inner child, you know. Some are there for therapy. And I think I'd like to ask you, being a physical therapist, how do you feel about those who get into the arts just to have that, they come into, they get into visual arts, dance, movement, or theater, so that they can have that therapy. Are you okay with that?
Yes, because before I was not. Because before it was like, I'm a physical therapist, so therapy should just belong to the therapy world.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, like, this one is an influence of my OT friends because they deal with emotions, with mental health issues. They deal with regulation, emotional regulation, and all of that. And I realized that an experience, in order for it to be meaningful to an individual, should also be healing.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, you do something because you have a purpose or you have a goal when you do something, right? And if people use theater or the arts to heal themselves, then thankfully we have that. We can offer that. We can help them achieve that. And we've seen people who actually use that, and now you see where they were, and that now they're here. They were broken people. Well, probably they're still broken now, but the amount of growth and self-healing that they have achieved because of their exploration in the world of theater and the arts. My God, I mean, it's like, oh my God, I'm so privileged to be a part of that growth, and also to be what do you call that, an audience to that growth. So for me, use theater as therapy. Why not?
Why not? So let's that was Vincent Paul Diez Gaton, everyone. We're not ending our conversation with him yet, or just yet. I would just like to introduce you to our next collaborator who's in the room. So if Vincent speaks of bodies and healing, our next guest speaks of structures and sustainability. So because the art doesn't exist without people who hold the scaffolding. Up next is someone who has been part of my theater life in multiple chapters. I first met her as my theater student. So sorry. Come on, don't go. I should be the one actually embarrassed by that because of age, but I'm so proud. She was 13 back then. And the very first time I met her, she was singing I Dreamed a Dream, of course, from Les Miserables. And today, she is the managing director of Tutankam's Philippines, a respected actor, director, and production manager. So watching her grow from student to a cultural leader has been one of the quiet joys of my artistic life. So she's one of my favorite collaborators and someone who understands both the visible and invisible labor of making theater happen. So up next, Charlene Virlouvet.
Hello.
Welcome to Up Next. What was that hello?
So I didn't know what to call you.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, hi everyone. Thank you for having me, Miss Sarah.
See,
Okay.
that
Wala
was
na.
where I
Wala
didn't know
na.
how to call you because she calls me Miss Sarah. Okay.
And Miss Sarah told me not to call her Miss earlier, and I was like, I physically cannot do that.
So I remember when I met you, you were already an adult, and I was like, there was a group of you, including Maxi. Of course, we miss Maxi. And I was telling you, drop the miss and just call me Sarah.
Mm-mm.
And they said, no, we're not going to stop calling you Miss
Yeah.
Sarah. Okay,
Yeah, and I think we
because-
agree that it's a term of endearment.
Yeah, and
at
I just
this
have to
point.
accept it.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
not
And,
sorry.
It's actually nice in a way, but at the same time, I think between us, we know that it is a term
Yeah.
of endearment. But I think for others, they think that it's a very formal thing. But who cares about what others think, right?
I mean, where would we be if we did?
So true. So, well, Charlene, you have, I don't know, it's like you've done so many productions, right? So you're first and foremost an actor, musical theater actor, because everyone, she can sing, she can dance, she can act. So she's a triple threat. Yeah, you
Sounds
were.
nice.
I remember you were so serious, rehearsing for I Want to Be in America. Of course, everyone knows that's from the West Side Story. Or it could be from another production of film that used that song. But anyway, you started young, well, relatively young. You have a very supportive mom who was there all the time. You were serious with theater. It's like, I don't know, girl, how did you do
I
that?
was.
From school, she would go to the studio, have a workshop, do rehearsals. I don't know, was that 3 times a week, 4 times a week? Because
Every day, if closer to
almost
a
every
show.
day,
Yeah.
yes. And then she had to go back home to Danao City. Is that Danao City, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Because she just wants to go home because, of course, she lives by the sea. Oh, my God. You have a beautiful place, so I also understand. But how did you have that energy, aside from age, of course?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
I mean, yeah, aside from age, I really think, I mean, I owe it to my mom. I mean, who else? My mom, I feel like I was a performer in the womb palang, because when she was pregnant, she's been telling me that she would dance and sing, and that was just already part of her life. So I was really born into it, I guess. And she I think she was an early believer in how being a creative person makes you a better person, like from an early age. So that's why she filled my schedule with whatever creative endeavor. So I did like my mom was a stage mom.
The ultimate stage
The
mom.
ultimate stage mom. And the
Yes.
best kind. Like not dictatorship, like do this, do that. She always gave me an out. I remember that. Like if I didn't like what I was doing, I could stop at any time. But anyway, she enrolled me in ballet classes.
Okay, that's one.
That's one.
Let's count.
She enrolled me in speech, like elocution. Yeah. What's another one?
Of course, musical theater.
Well, no, that's later actually. Because
Oh,
I started,
okay.
I started voice lessons.
Yes,
Sorry,
I know that.
piano lessons,
Oh my
voice lessons, then dance.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from the ballet, it was ballroom dances, dance sport. And then during one of my vocal lessons, there was a partnership with your previous theater company.
yes.
And that's when I was introduced to musical theater.
Yes.
Like before that moment, and that's when she mentioned I sang I Dream a Dream from Les Mis. Before that point, I didn't have any idea of what musical theater was. Like I didn't know that was possible to sing, dance, and act live, like on a stage in front of living people.
In front of living people. Yeah.
So there, that's how it started.
But then we're already talking about your life here in Cebu after moving from
Abu
abroad.
Dhabi.
Abu
Yeah, I
Dhabi.
was born and raised there. My childhood was there.
what can you share with us? Was like what was the difference you think of the life you had back then in Abu Dhabi and growing up in Cebu City or Cebu, because you're from the now.
Yeah.
You're from the now.
The here and the now is what I say.
Yes.
Huge difference. the French.
Yes, you're
Difference.
French.
Huge culture shock, I remember. Over there, I was very sheltered. My whole life was scheduled. Wasn't allowed to go out on my own.
Wow.
Always with someone, with a parent. A very tight-knit expat community. Beautiful childhood. And then I moved here. But cultural differences was, my gosh, so different. Like over in Abu Dhabi, we had so many, like, we were in a very tight-knit Filipino community, but lahira, when you move here, I was kind of shocked with everything from food, language, number one, was such a challenge for me.
Did you? But you already spoke Bisaya at that
No,
point?
no, I learned that here. I understood Tagalog because TFC, shout out. But I learned Bisaya here na.
Wow.
Like years later, years after arriving here. Yeah.
What was the secret to learning?
Data Cebuano.
Date a Cebuano. So how many did you have to date before you can
Just
get
the
fluent?
one.
Oh, just the one.
Just the
Hi
one.
to
Hi Lloyd, hi babe.
oh, who happened to be your dance partner?
Yeah,
For
look
one.
at you
Of
spilling
course.
my love life. yeah. He's
No,
a
that's
dance
actually
sport
very
athlete.
important. Yes,
It
and
is
of
very
course you
important.
were
Yeah.
a dance sport athlete
Mhm.
for a while.
Yeah.
But Lloyd has continued and
Yeah.
his competing internationally
Yeah,
and
until
winning
now.
golds for the Philippines.
Yeah.
Yes. So, oh my God. So you can find love in the arts, right?
Of course. Hello.
It's almost Valentine's Day. So
join,
you
join
combine
a
that-
workship. Find the love of your life.
yes, or you what a way to celebrate,
Uh-huh.
two celebrations at once.
Mm.
It's Valentine's Day plus
And Arts
National Arts
Mhm.
Month. Yes. Okay, so moving on.
Okay. Moving
Tell
on
us
from my
about
love
that.
life.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So, yeah. Okay. Now you are the managing director of the Tin Cans Philippines.
Yes.
I know for a fact that before that you were already a school directress
Mhm.
for a language school
Mhm.
here in Cebu, and it's not just any language school. It's the Alliance Française. Is that
De Cebu.
de Cebu?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Oui. So tell us about that experience and maybe how I'm sure both have the challenges. Not my Shopee here. Okay. Both have challenges. But just like tell us with all of the few challenges that you had to manage and endure, what helped you become who you are now? Wow.
Wow.
Or the lesson that you've actually gotten from those struggles or challenges.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be very dramatic. Relieve the drama on stage, but just something that you think people don't always realize that what we learn in real life we bring on stage with how we manage productions and vice versa.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I started my working life, I guess, as a French instructor. That's how I started, and then I, kind of rose the ranks into a higher position. But while I was in college, like through college, I was teaching French to all kinds of people, kids, adults, nurses who are looking to migrate to French-speaking countries, and things like that. And I mean, I have to say, I never thought I would be a teacher in any sense of the
Mais
word,
pourquoi?
but yeah, but I mean, it was a really fulfilling experience for me, because I wasn't just teaching, a language. I was, in a way, I had a hand in helping people, realize their dreams of a better life, of helping their family. So, I think that was, I was very aware early on that I was part of something big, as other than me, which was great help later on in theater.
But
because
can you elaborate a bit? You were saying about helping people realize their dreams.
yeah,
I have an idea of what you mean, but
Yeah.
for everyone, can you like really say like, why do we have to go to Alliance Française and
Yes.
study French? Why?
Yeah, so I'm not sure how it is now, but at the time, a lot of nurses wanted to migrate to Quebec, for example, Quebec, Canada. The bulk of our students at the time were nurses looking to migrate to Quebec, Canada, and one of the requirements was to reach a certain level of French speaking skills. I mean, before it was if A1 is beginner, before the requirement was A2 level, and then throughout the years it rose to B2, which is, if you think about it, that's almost native,
Wow.
language.
Oh wow.
So they poured in a lot of they invested so much in learning the language, and I spent years with the same set of people until they would finally migrate. And so, being a witness to that, no, and it was also hard as a teacher sometimes, because you could tell that they don't actually want to be there, but they're fulfilling a requirement.
Yes.
This was an admin requirement that they had no choice but to be there and spend their hard-earned money.
But I'm sure that if
on
they're
that.
in Canada right now, they'd be very thankful
Yeah.
for having paid attention and acing the exams, and then
Exactly.
I'm sure they've reached their dreams, and they continue to help their families, whether
Yeah.
it's there or here in the Philippines. So you were saying that you started working at a very young age. Do you think that's the reason why you have been really doing well being a production manager and a managing director of Tut and Cans?
I don't know if that's why. Maybe that's just my nature.
Oh, well,
Being
that
bossy,
too.
like you mentioned earlier. No, but I don't know where that comes from. Maybe it goes back to my mom kind of, enrolling me into many things that kind of forced me to manage my time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and like plan things. That's why you guys know when there's like last minute things, that kind of ruins my operating system.
So true.
So I think it's from that. The planning organizing side of me started
Yes,
there.
And
I
you,
guess.
for a while, owned a wedding planning.
Oh
and-
my
Have
god!
you forgotten about that?
I have.
Oh,
I
you
have
did.
literally forgotten about
Yes.
that part of my life.
So you've been
Grabe
part.
yan, no?
You've been part of of milestones of
Uh-huh.
couples, weddings, and
Yes.
making it happen according to how they dreamed their weddings
Yeah.
to be. How was that? That's like a production.
gosh.
You know,
Literally.
For me, that is a production.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
So my friends and I we started a company called Concepto Events. And we were coordinating weddings for couples. And that was 2-3 years of my life.
Mhm.
I remember I felt right at home in that space because of my experience in theater.
And I remember your collaborator Wilson. I miss
Mhm.
Wilson because
Wilson
he's helped us in some of our productions.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now he's in Manila.
He's
I
in
think.
Manila,
He's still in
yeah.
Manila. But
Yeah.
hi, Wilson. You've been name dropped.
Love you,
So-
gang.
So I think, the planning, the coordinating, that's a skill. Not everyone can do that. Not every intelligent individual has the patience, has the foresight to actually be doing that. So I believe that you are the best person to be production manager and managing director because of all these experiences. You just say yes.
Yeah.
That was not a question.
I know.
am
I was like,
telling
where's
you.
the yeah. Okay.
Yes. So I think now I'd like you to share maybe like what do you I've mentioned earlier invisible.
What do you actually do?
Exactly, because as I said, I was just about to say people do not see because of course it's invisible
Mhm.
labor. There are certain works in theater or in productions, concerts and all that.
Yeah.
People don't see it. They don't realize that, or sometimes, they don't realize that it's not just the actors or the singers or the musicians who are doing the job. There are people like you, production manager. Now, can you like tell us maybe the work that you do that people don't see?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the way I would illustrate. Oh. Um, I knew I
Oh
would
my
do that
God.
at some point.
I have to.
Is the iceberg diagram where you have
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
little part of the iceberg that's out of the water, and then a huge part of it that's below the water. And I think the actors, the performances up top, and everything else is at the bottom. And I am just one of a whole like group of people that support performances.
It would be nice if there was a theater in Cebu that could accommodate different groups that would allow for a more regular season. Yeah, that's just my dream. But
Me too. My gosh. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
not to turn this into, a rant or whatever, but like what's really missing here are spaces, performance spaces. I mean, it doesn't even have to be, a full-on theater. I mean, in Manila, we've seen productions where they're, just in a simple studio black box type thing. And I mean, even that is hard to come by right now in Cebu. So, I mean, a lot of us independent theater companies are having to resort to big, huge venues that don't exactly match the vibe that we're going for our productions. But again, we're resourceful. We make do with what is offered, what we have.
Yeah, but I think for us that's quite acceptable for us, having grown and aged through theater. But how about for the younger ones? I'm talking really like young as in age, those who are just starting to love theater and wants to perform. Do you actually agree that we should offer them a big production to participate in so that they can have better appreciation of the arts? You can answer this as well, Vince.
You're part of this now.
Everyone, I'm with Vincent, Paul Diez Gaton, and Charlene Virlouvet, and you're still up next here at TMC 105.1. I'm Sarah Henderson.
Miss Sarah.
So yeah, so
Yes.
that question,
Well,
Big production.
do we have to introduce the younger, the theater enthusiasts, the theater students, do we have to introduce them to a big production to participate in, just so they can have a better appreciation of theater or the arts?
I think not necessarily to be better actors or have a better appreciation of the arts. It's definitely a gateway into it.
But, but for us, like, it doesn't have to be a big production, because sometimes you get lost in the whirlwind of things and the demands of a big production. And for example, if I started with a very small and intimate play, it wasn't even a musical, but I was able to nurture my love for the performing arts, for theater. Because of that, it didn't need, because it felt more, for me, the intimacy of a small production felt more authentic for me. The experience, it was there, and then I worked with less people, so it became my relationship with my co-actors, with the production crew, became it was became closer, and and sometimes a big production may not be able to offer that opportunity to grow and to actually get to know your collaborators in a level that goes beyond performing together, but you get to see each other, know each other as human beings, and to actually communicate with each other, and share your points of view, and then learn from each other. I feel that smaller productions can offer that, and the bigger ones, with all the people and the splash and the flash, can't. That's for my.
Obviously, there are advantages and disadvantages, right? Like personally, I feel that working with a small group allows you to have more time with each actor, but it also allows you to shorten also the rehearsal process. Yes, and I feel that it makes you more grounded, because once you're on stage, you're not looking at an ocean of people.
Yeah.
You're actually dealing with individuals that you can see and feel,
In the audience, you
and the
mean?
connection. Yes, the connection.
It's a different.
It doesn't mean that you cannot
Experience.
achieve that with big productions, but I just feel that there's really something special with the intimate ones.
Yeah.
And my Facebook memories actually reminded me that, what was it, 6 years ago? We did a monologue, a rant
Has it
and a
been 6
prayer.
years? That's my first
Yes.
recollection.
Oh, that was your
And-
directorial
Maybe
debut.
for 2 Cats, basically. Yeah, that's a
Oh,
year.
I love that show. That's I always
And
say it. That's my
That was
favorite
a very
production.
intimate production. I think
So
that's
intimate.
one of the
I
most
love
intimate
that.
productions we've had at Tutin Cans. Share that process,
Oh my God.
because
You're my director.
Yes. So that was for me, it was very, how do you say that? Because we worked with different actors. Like there were more experienced actors, there were newbies, and then the materials were different because we did monologues, right?
And they were all theater company, Tutankan's theater company members.
Yeah. So, can you imagine? I had to deal with the schedule of each actor, their temperaments, the way they're learning, the way they learn. My God,
I was about to hear they're learning disability.
Uy.
well, that too, our learning abilities. Yes,
We
because
all have
Yeah,
both
yeah.
abilities
Yes.
and
disabilities.
Yeah.
So it's like, for example, Charlene can memorize fast. During that
At the
At that time, she had a long monologue, but she was like
Yeah.
ready for it
Early on.
in the
Yeah.
rehearsal process.
That
So,
was Fur is
back.
yes.
Yeah.
and-
But for a bit more context, the format of a memory,
MMRP.
memory, a monologue, a rant,
Rant
and a
and a
prayer.
prayer.
This was by Eve Ensler.
A compilation.
A compilation.
of
She
monologues.
compiled it. Yeah, with different writers, no per
yes,
monologue.
yes.
Which was good for you because there were no ensemble pieces, so you could
Yes,
rehearse.
it's really
Yeah,
individual.
one-on-one.
But that was intentional, right? That we really
Yeah, it worked for us at the time. Yeah, logistically.
We basically, Shirley and I we did the casting, right? And we did a
So
good
proud
job.
of that casting. Eh?
And it's like, yes.
That's
For
good.
example, how do you do that? Dave was very busy at that time.
Dave Farrell.
Beryl, yes,
Yes.
one of our company members, and he had a different way of learning. So I gave him more space, and I just basically asked him to do certain things, how to build his because it was his what they call that, his piece was very heavy, and I didn't want him to peak too soon also, but he also didn't memorize it as fast as you did.
Yeah.
So I had to deal with that differently, and I asked him to work on something else before get your emotions, your character first in check, and before you can even like memorize the whole thing. I like Charlene because she's there now, and then we had to tweak. And that's what I said, that Charlene, I think we allowed you to peak too soon.
And you also not forbade, but you advised me not to rehearse at home.
Yes.
Like full on, with
because of all the emotional.
Yeah, it was a
the
very
anger.
rageful.
And then
piece.
with Vince Lopez,
Mm.
the stealer of my name, Vince. Hi, Vince. Because the material is very physical. It was very visual, So I had to make him define his space physically, allow the audience to see the division of the kitchen, of that small room, and the kitchen, the bedroom, and all that. And then we also with Dan. Clever. So
Dan Clever
so-
Gigantone.
Well,
Congratulations.
congrats, Dan.
Master.
Yeah,
Master
just
Dan.
graduated.
Yes.
His master's in public administration
There you
from
go.
Correct.
the University of the
Philippines.
Philippines. Okay.
So yeah, with Dan, so because we changed the attack, he became a stand-up
Stand-up,
comedian.
yeah.
So
Oh yes.
and then we had Mikey,
Mikey.
it was our first play, Magsila, right? So she was the only one who actually had lighting, you remember?
Yeah.
And she was the one who
In
who
white
used the whole
and
room.
red.
Yes, and then
White
she
dress and red veil.
she was the most theatrical of all of them.
That's
We had her
true, yeah.
walk down like a bride,
But because her
her piece.
anyway, the MMRP, by the way, that was under V-Day, Worldwide
Mhm.
Campaign to End Violence Against Women and Girls.
Yes.
But I also think that Shang's
Shang
material,
Was
I think that the treatment was also very theatrical. So Shang,
yes.
Sheila Pestaño Hamperoa, she's the
stage.
manager.
The capital THE.
The stage manager. Yes.
That was
oh
yeah.
my God. I'm actually glad that
that costume, man. The dress
Yeah,
that she
yeah,
wore
yeah.
was
And she was
fire.
so still.
my
That is the
God.
opposition. That was intentional, right? That
Yeah.
she just stays put, stands her ground, whereas Mikey was the one who walked.
Mm.
So because of their different materials, but that was so powerful. the way she
Gorgeous.
just-
Very powerful. And as I was just going to say that I'm so glad that I wasn't the director, I wasn't a performer, because I was able to sit in the audience and enjoy it. We don't really
We
do that.
rarely,
you
rarely
can't.
get to do that.
When you're part, although when you're a director, you should be able to sit down and watch. But no, it's different when you're in the audience. And that was such a wonderful experience for me, And I always have this thing of I'm not gonna watch a full rehearsal. I want to be
Yeah.
surprised, and I was surprised, and I was so proud. It's like, this is the kind of experience that we'd like to have and give and receive,
Yes.
and it's that. The thing is powerful, and this happened just right before the lockdown.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
So
A few weeks.
I
we
remember
did
that. Just
we
a-
did MMRP in February, and
Yes,
then we
and
did
then we have the vagina
First week of
monologues
March?
in March. March 7.
7, yeah, the first
7th.
week.
Yes.
And then
So just a day before Women's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that experience of course with we were I'm saying I was just in the audience. So okay, I will say we were scattered around the venue.
Yes.
The audience was not just in one area. The performers were all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And because these are monologues, so they're performing one after the other. So I think this is a question both of you can answer. In when you're directing, actually, how do you decide on treatment? What made you decide that's how you would do it? Where does the inspiration come from? Or, how do we make these decisions? Because do we just say, yeah.
Like it's arbitrary or random? No.
yeah, it's like, do we actually plan it? When it happens?
It's part actually. What do you call that? There's some parts that are pre-planned. Like for example, who goes first? What
Of
monologue
course,
comes
yes.
first? Yeah. But in terms of where to put the actors, part of it was like, oh, your piece felt kind of right if you deliver it from if you perform it in that corner. Do you remember your corner with your table and wine, and you can't move so much because
Yeah.
with all that rage and you're cornered by it. So it really depended on their material basically, and
So
the
would you
treatment.
say for that production, it was location or venue first before you started
Block?
blocking?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I remember you had an ocular.
Yes, and said, "Oh wow," because we didn't know what was gonna happen because we didn't know where it was gonna be performed initially, right? And then
Yeah.
what was the name of the space again?
At that time.
At the time, it was
Yes.
called A Space.
A
A
Space.
space
Now-
at the
Now
crossroads.
it's it's at the crossroads. It's still at the crossroads. Now it's from here.
From here,
From
there,
here.
Yeah, from
Up
here,
there.
over there,
Yes.
from here.
Still at
So-
the crossroads.
at the
Yes, it's still there.
crossroads,
Yeah,
So when I saw the place and then the layout of the place, and then I also asked that and then that there you that's where I got the inspiration.
Yeah.
For example, with cornering her, basically cornering her, and then trapping her there with all her rage, and then with Mikey having to walk around, and then having Shang stay right in the middle,
Yeah.
and then so that he can stay put and be seen by everybody. And basically the space inspired the blocking and then all
And it was so refreshing, no, to have just a bare space and not a theater. Diba? That was so refreshing, and it allowed you to play.
Yes,
and
and I have to really thank Clarky.
shout
Yes,
out Clarky.
Clarky.
Clark.
Chalbot,
Chalbot,
our
yes.
technical director.
Yes, because he's very collaborative. I asked him if Clark, I want this effect, can we do that? And then he really delivered.
He got it.
As
Yes, he
as
did it for
in.
you.
Sobra. So
Yeah. But again, sometimes we just forget about, the work that these people do, but they've contributed so much to the entire theatrical experience.
Yeah.
So usually it's just the director that gets the praises, for and it's sometimes in posters or whatever, billboards and all that, you'll see the names of the lead actors and then just the director,
that's it.
and there's really no space that is given to give credit to the invisible labor. I will say the invisible labor,
Yeah.
but the work that they do is really important, and without them it's just not the same. It won't be the same experience, So, Charlene, with that experience that you had working with Vince and, performing in that space, do you think that this is something that you'd like to do this year, or this is something that we should do?
Yes.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
That's
I'll
it.
second
Period.
that, yes.
Wait, what does that mean? Yes. Period.
Period. What does it mean? I mean, I feel like personally, that was my favorite. I mean, like I said, that was my favorite production we've ever
Yes,
done.
you
Am
always
I?
say
Are we
that.
saying ever?
Sometimes I feel no.
Don't
Sometimes I
feel
No,
bad.
don't worry. I
It's like
don't.
choosing your children.
Yes.
Yeah, no, but that's also an individual experience.
Yeah, yeah.
That's something you cannot change.
I love
Yeah.
that. And I mean, I would love for our students and our company members to experience that kind of performance
Process,
space,
yeah.
because I mean, as an actor, it was so daunting to have your
Exactly.
literal
That's what I
audience
was gonna say.
Yeah.
a meter, less than a meter
It's
away from you.
scarier.
It's much scarier, but it's also more potent, if that makes sense. Like the
Potent.
exchange of
Maybe that's
energy is
why-
felt.
That's why that's why it makes her that experience is your
yeah.
favorite, because it was the most intimate that we've done actually.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
in terms of space, no?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean,
And I feel like it was the most response I got from, and it was so
Uh-huh.
sathing as an
How about
actor.
the
I think that's it.
It's a
Also,
man.
audience is also
Yeah.
audience is also very important. Having the right
Huge.
people like
Mhm.
watching
Yes.
the
Because not every material is for everybody.
correct.
Well, yeah.
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 So there are those who would understand, who were able to connect, and who were able to really get the message.
Yeah.
And then there are just those who cannot. And sometimes
That's okay.
no, sometimes it's not your fault. Whether you're
It's
you're
okay.
on
Yes, the actor.
either side, it's just not for you.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
That's okay.
And it's like for us, we are not going to produce just any show. We have to be able to connect to the material, and that's very
Initially, yes, that's
important.
most important.
So I think for going now into like materials and choices of productions, it's like, how do you, or saying you, but like really us, in Two Tin Cans, do you think that we've actually made like a way of identifying what material we will have to produce next? Have you noticed or observed that there was a particular process? Is there even a process of like choosing?
Is there?
Is there?
What is this? I have something on my back. Okay.
Is there a process?
Well, what moves you? I think it's a first.
I mean,
thing
yeah, I think
when
the
we
first
discuss about stuff.
correct. I think the first filter is, I mean, we have to connect to it
Yes.
on a personal level, especially whoever the director is gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing would be whether it's socially relevant at all, whether it's to us or
Aligned.
to it's aligned.
No.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
With our
I mean, as a company, we're kind of, I mean, our vibe, our thing is socially relevant
Or I think
performances and experiences.
Yeah, you just
activists.
yeah.
I want.
So that's
We're so
where
branding.
artivism
Yes,
comes in.
Yes.
So, okay, you're saying align, it can align to anything.
Yeah.
So, socially relevant messages, I think, for
Yes,
messaging in the
yes.
material.
Yeah.
So, why is this important?
The messaging. Or
Yes,
the
it's
social-
like, why? Why can't we just focus on entertaining something that actually
Well, I have my-
and probably
my-
makes a lot of money?
Oh yeah,
Mm.
but
Mhm.
I don't know. It's like if we go for that, I mean, it's readily available for you can get that. Some people go to Manila for that,
Mm-hmm.
and then for me, I can go for my Chinese drama for my entertainment. it's shallow, but it gives me all the but it's a study like
Yeah.
how how it is like Chinese drama, they just keep on doing, and it really pulls your emotions. Even if
Engages
you
you.
know even if you know, oh my god, it's the same thing, but it really allows
Wait,
you
are
to
you
un-
talking about those
Yes.
online?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know the verticals.
It's like some short what do you call that, vertical shorts.
Would you
dramas.
consider them as art?
That's a good, I know. I mean,
Wow.
it is in a way because
I'm not being judgmental,
yeah,
by the way.
that's why- that's
I
why
just
I
really want
paused,
to.
no? Because
to
it's
ask.
entertainment definitely, but there's also but there are some good dramas, Chinese dramas that that the production really gave it a thought, like they wanted to deliver something, not just like because mostly it's like, okay, revenge. It's a revenge drama, and then it's just like, oh my god, conversation, let's speed it up, because I just wanted to see what happens in the end, what happens to the villain. Is he alive? I'm gonna use that word.
Unalive.
Yeah, killed or something. But but you know that there are
Wait,
also
are we
that
allowed to say that, Ralph?
online? Or,
Okay, unalive is more better than.
Okay.
better
Than the other,
than
okay.
Let's
the
be
original
safe.
word.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, again,
Mhm.
language evolves. So that's the thing. So yeah, I think there's a thin line between entertainment and just push up putting trash, and then art, because I feel that art has to have a message. That art has to have a responsibility it can't just be like, okay, just do something and that's entertaining and you call it art. Art has to have a sense of responsibility to its audience. That's a personal point of view for me, because you are communicating a point of view, and it will be perceived by your audience. So, as an artist, it is your responsibility to give something that's gonna make your audience grow and not just entertained. For me,
But aren't we also being elitist or being not inclusive? Because isn't entertainment also just focusing on entertainment? Isn't also that a really difficult art to achieve? I'm not saying, well, for Tutenkans, we try to go for entertainment plus education
And
plus empowerment. That's us. So, but take that away, put that on a side. I would actually think that that's our direction. But there are those whose direction is to simply make people happy through entertainment.
Well, that's a noble. Oh my God! Especially nowadays, to actually have a momentary happiness or escape.
Respite.
Yeah, respite or respite from awful things happening is already a thing, So again, it depends on your goal. If you offer something, but that's just okay, that make the people happy. But if you can, just put a little bit more than just happiness, something that can last longer. I feel that it would be better. And for me as an artist, pure entertainment, yes, it's possible, but I don't know. For me, I'd feel more fulfilled.
Yeah.
If I'd be able to make my audience think, even just the questioning if what I've given them is something that they can agree on or not. That for me in itself is already making them grow. It's contributing to their growth as a person. Happy, but do I actually believe that? Do I agree with the point of view? Would I do that? Nah, because comedy can be, if it's very entertaining, it can bring happiness, momentary joy. But if you can infuse something there,
Some sort of opinion at least.
yes, that they can question or they can, at least pit their worldview against, and say I'm not agreeing, and then that's something already for me.
How about you, Charles?
Sayangan. Can I speak
Yeah,
Bisaya?
of course.
Sayangan.
Sayangan ko. Sayangan ko if like you've created this platform for yourself and you're not actually saying anything. Like there's no statement, there's no North Star. I mean, if your North Star is to entertain purely or just get someone to laugh, I mean, I feel like that's a little shallow. I don't know if that's your only objective. Sayangan jud ko, yeah. If you put in all this work for something so shallow, for a goal that's so shallow, and sayangan jud ko because theater as an art form is the most what is
Unsa man eh?
Now
whoever's listening, I'm miming. I am moving my hands around because I can't find the word. Is
Encompassing. No.
almost
an umbrella.
immersive.
Okay.
Okay, for the audience, there you go. Why did that make sense though? My
The
arm
immersive
movements.
thing.
Yeah. It's an immersive art form. The audience is really in it. I mean, if they allow themselves to be
Sa
in it.
gisulti
in
na
the
to
story.
earlier, you're performing live in front of
Humans.
Real
Real humans.
beings.
Real live humans.
Feeling.
Yeah, so it's so immersive and it's such a effective, what am I trying to say?
Platform.
Effective medium or an effective vehicle for change And I thank you.
And I thank you.
Yeah, because you're immersed, you're right there, you're connecting with the actors. You feel like depending on the treatment, it's like you're a fly on the wall and you're listening into a real human conversation. You're witnessing actual connections. If it's a love story, you're seeing two people fall in love for the first time, and you're right there, you're witness, because if you're an actor, you're not, ideally you're not faking it, you're actually feeling it in your body.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's our instrument. Our bodies, our emotions, our experiences, they have to be real.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm asking this because I myself, I'm wondering if I'm also being too close about the idea that you can actually achieve something just by doing entertainment. What I'm trying to say is, like, for example, nowadays we are so full on with mental health education and all that, and you have to find different ways of taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And what if pure entertainment, no messaging, no form of empowerment, in a production or a play or a movie, and it's all just it's really just entertainment. And it's up to you, whatever you've picked up from that. What if that's also an advocacy, making people happy? Why am I judging that's just me. I'm trying to ask myself, are we also being close-minded with that idea?
Well, for me, sir, it's like, if it really depends on your own goal, right, as an artist. So there are some people who can do that, and they should be doing that because they can offer that, and I have nothing against that. But personally, I feel that I should give more than just entertainment in the body of work that we're gonna give the audience, because social commentary. I feel like art should be a social commentary. What's happening? It should reflect what's happening.
Very.
It can't just be an escape. It's a microcosm of the bigger society, and
That's your responsibility as an artist as well,
Yes,
really
because-
being able to reflect on the realities of your society.
Exactly. And you can entertain at the same time, like use humor. Like, for example, if I'm following like a lot of stand-up comedians right now, and they're so funny, but at the same time, there's so much truth about their
Almost
jokes.
political.
It is
Yeah.
all everyday, truths that you can actually. It's a social commentary actually. So they entertain, but at the same time, I know.
They're questioning.
Yes, they make you question. Sometimes I agree. Sometimes I don't agree with what they're saying. But still, I laugh with them at the jokes that they're giving me. At the same time, I disagree with their point of view, and
Yes.
that makes me grow as a human being. I'm just not entertained, but I actually expands my my lived experience, or it's like my point of view. I get to understand somebody else's point of view and not just mine, so I don't get boxed in. But I think if we can help people to be entertained at the same time, improve their I don't know what do you call that, mindset.
Their mindset, the
Yeah,
way they think and all.
and form empathy and understanding of
Ooh.
That's the
another
word.
person's point of
Big
view.
word.
Because I feel like
Empathy.
like you're saying, because I feel like, for example, I am for this particular movement, and if I don't listen or hear the other side, then I'm only boxed. If it's gonna be an echo chamber lang. But that's why no matter how bad I feel, I try to read and listen to the other's points of view, so that I can have a conversation and I have a point of, it actually, I test my own points of view, and then I see now, yes, I can agree up to here, but
It either
this one is a
reinforces,
no,
validates you,
yes.
or the opposite.
So you actually get your what do you call that? set boundaries,
Mm.
better boundaries, because now you know your what's that? Your ultimatum or your what's the word?
Your
Bottom
goal.
line.
Yeah,
the bottom
okay.
line.
So maybe I think I'd like to know, like, which production did, when was it that you felt that, hey, I have to be more than just an artist. I have to be an artivist.
Aw.
With for example, for
Was
Teen
that,
Dance
was it
Lab,
no, like in your
Oh.
life? Because I actually feel that we were probably brought together, us and the company members. It's because what we do
Align.
actually aligns with what they'd like to do as well. And that's how that's how people usually gather. We have a common goal, we have a common denominator, and maybe for us it is that we'd like to do art more than just as entertainment. So
which production?
yeah, when did you start thinking that, hey, I have to make a difference with what I do in theater?
It's easy for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Mine is the Vagina Monologues.
Oh, I know which year that was.
Yeah. What year? 2004.
That was in 2004.
Yeah. Yeah. So you
That was the
invited
second,
me. Yeah, that was the second ever in Cebu. So I was able to be a cast member of that. And at the time, I was the youngest at 13, 14, I think. And if you don't know the Vagina Monologues, it's just like a series of monologues and vignettes about women's experiences, and a lot of it touches on violence against women and girls. So me at 13, 14 years old, being I had a very sheltered childhood. I had questions. I had so many questions. Like the monologue that I did was quite, it was good. It was perfect for my age. It was about being empowered in terms of what you wear, like short skirts.
It didn't say the word vagina.
At all. Yeah,
My
yeah.
short skirt.
Yeah,
is
it was my short skirt.
Very.
Yeah.
It's not very safe, but it's
No.
a fun
Appropriate
piece,
for-
appropriate
For that age,
for your
yeah.
age.
Yeah, but so with that monologue alone was, it was great. It was fine, right? But I was sitting in rehearsal listening to the other women and saying their monologues, and my God, I had so many questions. And after every rehearsal, I had a new question. I had a new thing that I would fixate on. And my mom was there, of course, the whole time with me at rehearsals. Okay, I was still a
Ultimate
minor.
stage mother, Tita
Always.
Christy.
Yes.
Not
Hi,
in
Ma.
a bad way.
And I had so many questions after. Like, I would ask about, genital mutilation, because that
Yeah.
was one of
A
the...
really heavy topic.
I didn't even know that existed. And then all the forms of abuse and things like that. So I didn't realize it at the time, but the more I did the production, because I've done it several times, I forgot how many, basta a lot. Later on, I realized, okay, there's gonna be another little girl in the audience who's gonna have the same questions as I do. So that I think that I don't remember the specific moment or which production it was, but that's when I realized, like, okay, oh my gosh, theater is actually my own secret, not so secret weapon for inspiring or inciting change, and at least getting a conversation started, like I did between me and my mom. So that's what it is for me.
That's how powerful.
Yeah.
And you did one piece. I think you even shared it with another performer. But the impact, for us, we never really know until someone shares. So thank you for sharing. But thank you really for sharing that with us, because yes, there would be so many performers. There had been so many performers of the Vagina Monologues, and we've had a few teenagers, even kids, even my own daughter, Shifra.
I wanted to say, I had a full circle moment with your daughter.
Aw.
Because there was a year in 2000, this I remember for sure, 2018. It was the one in Waterfront. And I was sitting backstage with her, and she was asking me questions about. I'm not tearing up right now. That's not happening. She was asking me questions about like, what does this mean? What happened in this monologue? What is she talking about? And so me now being in a position of like, okay, like I'm the one, sharing what I learned and.
Wow.
Yeah. Hi, Shishi.
I'm so glad that she asked you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It would actually take the time to give her attention and explain. So yes, and I'm sure that there are so many more stories, the vagina monologues, other productions, so did you answer that question,
Not
Vince?
yet.
You
Yeah, I
did
don't know,
not.
as far as I can remember, I mean, even that Gaton just Dios side was there was already a question.
But maybe that
moral
was that.
question. Exactly that, because aside from what my
Very young.
because it's like it was a question of a moral. There was a certain my character as a child who had to look for a doctor or a healer for my father. The character of my father was so it was already that day, like the question of should I look for a real doctor and trust. It was a religious play, but it's about faith and versus so it's a faith in God versus faith healers. You know what I mean? Like I know. So
The shamans and
the
the babay
shamans, yeah.
lands, no?
But I mean, for a child. It was, I mean, I have nothing against babay lands because it's part of our tradition, the rich tradition of, and it's another topic. But for a little boy, that play already make me question what should I choose as a son, to help my father.
You as Vincent.
Yes. No, as an actor.
As a character.
So that play in itself has that. So as Vincent, now I'm learning things about. Oh, it is always a moral question that one must answer. In basically deciding what to do in life. Your life decisions will always have a moral question. So.
How old were you again? 7. Bibi Vincent.
Because I've been reading books. That's why siguro.
It's not
the reading.
not what you would consider a
The
normal boy
No.
in terms of maturity.
Yeah, I forgot the name of my sister, but she was such a lovely, lovely, motherly nun.
So from the nun who actually gave you that very first experience in theater, to you then going to another, it's not a religious group, but an organization of a different faith, the
You know what?
Buddhism. It's like, and I'm sure you've also worked with probably other groups as well. But with that, having that versatility and the openness, what allows you to do that?
Well, I don't know. It's because timing. Because when I first learned about Siddhartha, it was before you came, right? It was still
Yes,
with
I am
Stacy.
talking about Siddhartha, the
Yes,
musical.
It was still under the first director, Miss Daisy Baad, right? That was a time I was looking for answers. I had questions about
What was the
faith,
question? Okay.
about what is life all about, existence, and everything that I was reading about. I had a book about that talk about quantum physics in relation to Buddhism.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was like, and how they are parallel. And that led me to seek more about Buddhism, and that was perfect. It's like
It
serendipity.
came at the right time. Yeah.
That's when we heard about an opening audition for Siddhartha, and it became it's actually produced by a Buddhist movement, or a Buddhist group, right? The BLIA, or Buddha Light International Association.
Yes, association.
Of Cebu. So that was the timing, no? I mean, that's serendipitous siya, if you come to think of it that way. So, and for me, learning about what do you call that? About spirituality outside the Catholic faith is a good thing because it will help me strengthen my faith in a creator, outside the Catholic's point of view. So that's how, and my father has always encouraged me to ask questions, to seek knowledge. That's not provided by, just don't be boxed in.
So when you did Siddhartha the musical, that was around 2005, 2006, I believe.
Yes, going 2000, yeah.
Yes. And I mean, right now, you
2007,
won.
I think.
Right. If I were to just, I love mentioning my dear friends, what's the successes. So you're the 2020 choreography of the decade
Oh,
winner
yeah.
in Broadway
Yes, you
World
are.
Yes,
Philippines
yes.
Awards. But you actually studied dance formally very late in your
Yeah.
life. And people would think that, having won that award as a choreographer, people would think that you probably started like
Really.
formal dancing, like maybe at 7 years old, 6 years old. You've been like doing this all your life. But yours is a different story.
Yes, because although I was exposed to ballet because I was this traveling ballet teacher who passed through our town and I had a few lessons there with him. It was not a formal class, right? And during college, I had jazz lessons, but it's still not the basic because it's just under UP Indayog, UP Manila. So shout out, and then because we focus on jazz then, but in terms of formal ballet training, I just remember I was when during it's in Ayala, right? Ballet Center.
Yes.
Cebu. So at that time, it's already run by Tito Nick,
Nicolas Pacanya.
Pacanya, and then Aaron.
I forgot the
Mr.
family.
A.
Yes,
Yeah, right.
okay.
So but during that, I just kept on looking, because they have an open class, right?
Yeah.
So I was just looking at the dancers being taught by Tito Nick, and he would just go out, and then he would have his cigarette break and all that. I was like, but I was too scared to actually go and join until I joined Siddhartha and Marijo Amora,
Yes.
because part of her what's this warm up is basically a dance class. She did
okay.
basic ballet, and that kind of fueled my need to actually just Vince. It doesn't really matter. Just go there. You're learning now with Jo. Why don't you go to Ballet Center and actually enroll and learn from Tito Nico? I mean, he's Nicolas Pacanya. for
Yeah,
God's sake.
Nicolas Pacanya and Gregory Aaron.
There you go.
But before that, everyone knows that Ballet Center
was si Madame.
was founded by the Madame Villarica.
Which I was so lucky, fortunate enough to actually work with because she retired by that time. But she went back and produced the ballet. She did her own ballet. And then I was casted. So she was such a consummate professional. Basta she respected me. I feel like that's what I got from her. She's here and I was just like learning. But
By
maybe
here, meaning
she's
she's at the top.
Yes.
You felt that she was already at the
Yes.
highest.
But that's
you
that's
know.
where my father's teaching about being a professional regarding commitment. She saw that I was committed.
Yes.
She even gave me a chance to dance with higher what do you call that? Higher tiered dancers. I was like, Madam, I cannot. But no, I trust you. I couldn't rehearse with them at that time, like a daily, because I have my patients to deal with. So, but she gave me a chance until opening night. And then I said, like, the next night she asked Tita Baby Caballero, can you tell Vince if he? Yes, I told her already that I'm not ready for that dance. So, but that's a thing. But I wasn't even I was not even disappointed that I couldn't dance because I knew where I was at. And that was one lesson that I have learned, man. know yourself and take the opportunity when it's given, but do not think that you're all that great and you're all that good, because if it's not for you, it's not for you. And be humble enough to accept that fact. And that's why for me, that was really a good, and then maybe that's one of the reasons that I realized that I should be more open to my collaborators. That's a gift of Mrs. Villarica for me, ni Madam.
Oh.
Yeah.
So from that struggling ballet dancer to the award-winning choreographer, that's quite a leap.
Yeah, I didn't even.
You don't realize
Think
it,
of
right?
it, no?
Yes.
Because we don't always
Because
think
we
about
don't
these
think
things.
about that. Because that was with Penny, right?
Mhm.
Penelope.
Which production?
This was from vaudeville.
Which show?
Oh, the Addams Family,
Addams
is
Addams,
it?
Family,
Yes, yes.
So that was also, and I have to and again, it's not just mine. It was because I had a team. I there was Alfie and Shaggy and Evadinho who helped with the dances, because there's some dances like, okay, that's before the idea of, if you're the choreographer, is like you do all the dances, but that's not how it is in plays. You also tap your people. There are some, well, for example, Alfie is so good with jazz, and he collaborated with Shaggy and Nino, and they had this beautiful number. But then my job then as a choreographer is to see if it fits
the whole.
and if it fits the scene, if it gives or it delivers. And then I had to, that's when I adjust. Okay, can you tone it down here a bit, because there's only jingle singing, and then all of you are so strong. So then that's my job, to say, okay, let's calibrate. And for me, that's why
A lot of decision making.
yes,
Right?
for me as a choreographer, that's your main job, to serve the director's vision, and you execute that, and then decide, and it has to be always your own movements. Don't be stingy. There's so many who can offer a lot. The dancers, sometimes I get inspiration from the dancers. That's what we did in Siddhartha, right? There were a lot of talented dancers there, and some of their accidental movements, hey,
Yes.
I think that would serve better than my own movement, so let's use that. Is that okay with you? And they actually like that, and because it validates their own artistry. So for me, that's where but then again, because I guess you also, during that time, Sarah, you also allowed me to be, just do your thing, Vince. You weren't hovering and all that. Say, do.
Just for context.
Yeah,
we
for
worked
context,
Okay.
Miss Sarah
This
was
is how
the
I talk now.
director. This is how we interact
Yes,
now.
you give
I
the
give
context,
context and you trail
just
off.
rant.
Yeah. Yeah, so Miss Sarah was director, and then you
I
were
was
her choreographer. And then where did you guys go around the world?
Yeah. We went to around 10 countries
Japan.
in 3 years.
Yes.
Damn.
That was a
That was fun,
journey.
and being able to
I
work
loved
with you.
Mm.
That was our first work.
yes
Together.
yes.
And Ate Sheng as
Yes, of
stage
course.
manager.
And that's where I learned, because you know how she works, right?
Mm.
And sometimes it can be rigid when I do a choreography.
Mm.
But then again, it's a scene, and then she has to come in and to fit things seamlessly. So
Yeah.
sometimes and then some of that will be cut off because she has to transition. I don't think about that, because I don't
Yeah.
know the scene before. Sometimes I work on the scene, right?
Yes.
The choreography, but she has to think of this and that and how to
Connect
to hold,
everything, yeah.
And so that's why the part of letting go, the ability to let go of your own creation, is the one thing that I have learned because of that process. Na parang, okay, because it's beautiful as it is, but it won't serve the whole. So what's the point?
Mm.
It can't be an island, right? There has to be bridges, and allow for the bridges to connect, to exist. So that one, but it was also for me. It was also a journey, a struggle, right?
Yes.
The letting go of the that's my creation. Why are you breaking it up?
Yeah.
So for me, that's also a good learning process of letting go and let the whole work become beautiful and not just your own.
And letting go
That's
sometimes.
also been that's also been how we work together in our
Yes.
productions. It's like the best idea wins. It doesn't matter, who it comes from. Is if it serves the goal, the story, the vision.
And I totally agree. I was going to say that, sometimes people think that letting go means to compromise. Actually, it's giving in for better ideas, for better concepts.
Yes.
And just accepting that, yours will not always be it.
Yes.
Because you're working with other people, you're collaborating. It is a collaboration. And I think for you, Charlene, is for so long, you've done theater as an actor, and then it's not a transition because you haven't really stopped acting. It's just that you've added
hats. I've added hats.
Yes, you've added a hat of production management. And I think I'd like I'd like you to let our audience understand, like, how are you able to collaborate in that space?
How?
Yes.
With her, with us.
I mean, you are the bridge. Yes.
I am the.
You have to deal with
Yeah,
a group
by
of
nature.
people with different characters.
Yeah,
And
I feel like my job is to, because you have the director, right, who's the visionary, and also the producer. Well, for you, Miss Sarah, specifically producing, artistic director. Hi, sir. So the director has a vision, and I think the production manager is there to not just bring that vision to life, but also to adjust it.
Yes.
Adjust it to, well, number one, what's available, to what's possible, to what we're capable of. Like, directors might have, I want to do, like, for example, I want to do experimental choreography niya. Ang ending, imungkas ka, dili day dancer.
You're the one who
Diba?
tempers everything.
Yeah,
That's
so it's
not
like, wait, hang on. Not that this has happened, but, if it did. Vince, hang on, hold your horses. Our cast is, they're singers as opposed to, dancers, for example. Or like, if the director had some amazing, lighting direction or vision, I would come in and say, hang on. I mean, if we do this, then we'd have to up the budget, So there's a lot of like things like that, trying to ground the visionaries in the group, because I mean, as a visionary, as a director, you can go crazy in terms of like, what you can dream on.
One can dream.
One can dream, and I come in and ruin the
And
no, I
we
don't
wake
ruin.
up.
And then I wake you up. Correct.
And we
there
wake
you go.
up, and then we continue to daydream.
Yeah, so that's how what I do. And then you mentioned I'm the bridge, between. Well, as a production manager, you're the bridge between all departments, right? So, the stage team, so that would be like, you're at the Sheng as a stage manager, for example, and then the tech, like we mentioned Clark, and then the director, really just orchestrating and making sure everyone is doing what they're supposed to, and spending all that pre-production time getting your team ready, so ready that on the day we can just focus on putting out fires, if ever a fire, not a literal fire, occurs. Troubleshooting is what I say. So that's how I see it.
Well, more than, when you have two people, there's already that possibility of conflict. And then you're talking about different departments.
Yeah.
There must be a lot of tension, not because they're not seeing eye to eye, like in terms of relationships, but more of maybe in terms of focus. So how do you ease the tension? Like you've already mentioned, like, for example, in terms of finance, if your director is a dreamer and would come up with all these wonderful ideas, and then you look at your budget and say, I can't make fireworks. I can only light a match, something like that. So, yeah, how do you deal with that?
I think what helps is to step back and go back to the original goal or objective for the production. No, and then a lot of I mean, like we established earlier, a lot of the productions we do is at the heart of it is really advocacy. And so to go back to that and remind whether it's the director or whoever creative I would have to deal with, is we're still aligned with this, right? We're still on the same page with this, right? So how can we make it work? Right? So just reminding each other. And sometimes I have to be reminded of that, right? And sorry, I'm like jumping all over the place. But going back to I'm jumping. Going back to your question about like big productions versus smaller ones. I feel like the big productions, sometimes you get so saturated with like logistics and like meeting deadlines and budgets and things like that. And you forget like why you're even there in the first place, which is to, if you're a student, for example, if you're a student, it's to experience, to learn from this, this experience. If you're a more established, I guess, artist, it's to convey whatever message you're trying to convey and, get a conversation started, like we mentioned earlier. So it helps to go back to the heart of it all. And usually that solves things.
Yes.
Usually.
Conversation.
Yeah. Just communication.
So listening to both of you, I hear, the connection, communication, going back to our whys, learning, empowerment, collaboration, community. So now I'd like to ask both of you the question that this show is built around. What is up next?
Shirley, would you like to start?
Would I? What is up next? I will answer that in more than one way.
How many ways do you have to?
Actually, one way, because I'm just talking to a mic. So personally, what's next for me is in terms of theater, what do I want to do? Well, I directed my first full-length play, straight play last year.
Love, Loss, and What I Wore.
It was Love, Loss, and What I Wore. It was at the Marco Polo Plaza Hotel.
Which was nominated for many awards, including Best Direction by you.
And Best Actress for you.
I wasn't asking you to
I know, but it was there and I took it.
This is such a mutual admiration club. But go on. So let's go back.
Because we don't admire ourselves. Lain sa tayo diba? Anyway.
So let's go back. What is up next for you, Charlene?
Okay, what's up next? I would like to direct more. That was my first experience. I enjoyed it so much. I love the collaborative energy. It was the first time I experienced that collaborative, that collaboration in that way as director. Of course, always wanting to act. And I mean, I have to face facts that I'm kind of entering my mentor era. Which is a bit cringe for me to say out loud, but sige lang, that's the way that we're going. And that leads into what's next for Tootin Cans. We have a lot in store it's gonna be a busy year. I'm not gonna say too much, but we are going to come up with a series of one-act plays that we're gonna stretch out throughout the year. And it's going to be directed by the students of our director program, which we started last year.
Most of them are our Tootin Cans Theater Company members.
Theater Company members. And I am so excited to see them, to hear their voices, see what they do with what they have. And I'm excited for all the collaborations that we're going to do in terms of like venues and partners and yeah, and we're each, going to mentor a couple of directors, and that's going to be our main. I mean, among other things, that's one thing that I'm very excited about that is coming up next.
Yes.
Oh, so excited for you and for us.
Actually,
Yeah, and you,
I'm
yeah,
first up.
And
Ah.
you,
you're first up.
Vincent.
I'm up next.
You're up next.
What is up next?
Literally.
So for me, aside from that, the mentoring thing, because this March is my I'm up next, not yet. And but aside from that, I think for me, I wanna go back to writing. It's been a long
Ooh,
time, you
yes.
know, and I feel like we did mentoring. Remember last year,
Mhm.
you guys wrote monologues, and I helped facilitate it. But
Yeah.
now I think it should be following your example, Miss Henderson. I want to go back to that, and explore. And also, aside from directing, I also want to dabble again in acting and learn from people, from other directors.
Mm.
And aside from, I want to do a weekly, with or without students. I want to do weekly dance
Mm.
time in a studio at least once a week to go. Aside from the artistic side of it, I also want to do it for health reasons. Movement again is key to fitness and health. So I think it's a personal goal for me. I'm gonna do that.
Oh, thank
How about you? Can we ask you? Are we allowed to
Yeah.
ask you?
I am not going to answer that right now because we are about to come to an end
Aw.
for this very first episode of Up Next. So I want to slow us down
Mhm.
again. So because radio moves so fast and social media even moves faster, so culture often feels like it's sprinting forward toward what's trending, But Up Next is created as a different kind of space. So a pause, a listening room, a place where conversations are allowed to breathe. So if this is your first time tuning in, we're about to end, but thank you for spending this time with us. Whether you're listening on TMC 105.1, watching on Facebook, or catching this on YouTube later, your presence really matters. And a program only becomes real when someone is listening. So this show is not just about promotion. It's not about announcements or events. It's about thinking in public. It's about remembering out loud. It's about imagining together. And I hope Up Next becomes a new weekly ritual, a moment where we return to listening, return to reflection, return to the question of what kind of culture we want to build. And our conversation with Vincent and Charlene reminds us that art is never, ever alone. It's never, ever made alone because it is collaborative. And behind every performance is a network of collaborators, mentors, producers, administrators, technicians, educators, and communities. And theater, dance, cultural work are ecosystems. They are built through trust, discipline, care, and long-term relationships. So listening to artists talk about process, about leadership, movement, and institution building shows us that culture is not just inspiration. It is architecture, and every conversation like this becomes part of that architecture. Throughout this program, I'll keep returning to one question: what is up next? Again, not as a prediction, but as responsibility. What is up next for artists in the Philippines? What is up next for institutions? What is up next for how we train, fund, archive, and honor cultural workers? The future is not something that happens to us. It is something that we rehearse through policies, through platforms, through daily practice. And Up Next is a rehearsal space. So it's a place to test ideas, reflect on practice, and imagine what kind of cultural future we want to build. So there is a reason that this show is designed as a listening space. Listening is a form of care. And when we listen to artists, we acknowledge their labor. When we listen to communities, we recognize their histories. When we listen to each other, we practice democracy. So today, your listening is already an act of participation in culture. And I hope you continue to listen to performances, to stories, to voices that challenge and expand your own. If you're listening in on TMC 105.1, the most Cebu radio, thank you very much. And if you're watching us on Facebook, thank you for your comments, your shares, and your questions. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for joining this growing archive of conversations. In future episodes, we'll feature artists, educators, cultural workers, innovators, and community leaders. We'll talk about theater, dance, music, visual arts, media, careers, policy, and the everyday practice of creativity. And I want this to be interactive, so you are invited to sit with us. Tell us who you want to hear from. Tell us what questions you want asked and maybe finally answered. And tell us what you think is up next. This is not just my show. This is a shared conversation, a ritual we build together week after week. So today is a very special day because it's our launch, and we want to make it happen on the 1st of February because it's the first day of National Arts Month. But up next, we'll be airing every Thursday from here on TMC 105.1. So our next episode is this coming Thursday, the 5th of February, and we'll be continuing these conversations on culture, creativity, and the connections and futures we are imagining. That would be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon every Thursday. Mark your calendars and make it part of your week. Let's make this a habit, a return to listening. Let's make it our new ritual. So this February, being National Arts Month, I invite you to treat culture not as decoration, but as foundation. Attend a performance, read a script, visit a gallery, support an artist, ask your institution what they're doing for culture. And remember that art is not only what happens on stage or on screen. Art is how we listen, how we teach, how we organize, how we imagine. Culture is something we build every day, and every Thursday we return to it here. This has been Up Next on TMC 105.1 on air, online, live on Facebook, and available on YouTube. I'm Sarah Henderson. Thank you for being part of this first conversation and this first ever ritual. Join us next Thursday, 5th of February, for another episode, another guest, and another exploration of what's coming next. Until then, stay curious, stay listening, and keep asking, what is up next?